Hello late night coders and welcome back. So in this video I plan to show you how to connect your website to a content management system or CMS using Express and Node. So the first question you may ask is, why do we need a CMS? And the answer is, using a CMS you can easily store your text, images and videos. Basically that's all your static content in your website, and then in your Node.js code you can send a request to the API and then get the content and add that to your website. So think of a CMS as a database to store your static content. Now you may ask, why should I use a CMS? What's the benefit? So you can just code everything in your website directly, like all the text, images, videos, but with a CMS you don't really have to go to like edit and add your new content in your code. You can like do that in the CMS and your code is reading the data, and then if you make any changes to your code, you will end up deploying your code every day to like your host or server, and then it's not really convenient. Imagine if you have like a blog post or like you're updating your content every day, then it's gonna be very time consuming and also inconvenient for you to go and make the changes to the code and then go back, deploy it, and that's really time consuming. And as a developer you might not do that. If you like working for a big business that they have like a marketing team or copywriters, it's their job to like add content and like update, edit stuff. So just by connecting your website to the CMS you can give them the option to go there and like add new stuff or edit things that you are just reading in the code, so that you as a developer you don't need to worry about that anymore. In my website, for example, in my portfolio, I'm actually using a CMS called Prismic, and that's what we're gonna focus on today. For example, in my portfolio section I have all these like text and images, and I don't code them directly like in my code. I don't write it, so I'll just have everything in my Prismic account, and all my code does, like for the text or images, it's just reading it from that CMS, and it's really convenient. Just imagine like if I have a new project, all I need to do is to go in that CMS and add a new document and my code will read it. So yeah, in this tutorial we're gonna talk about Prismic, and with that I'm gonna show you how to create an account on their website, and then create a repository, connect your website to that repository, and then interact with their API. So one quick note before we get started: if you're new to this channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button below and turn the notifications on so that you are the first to know when I publish a video. Okay, so as always, first thing we're gonna do is to go to the GitHub and get the starter code. I'll put a link to this repo in the description box down below this video for you to get the starter code. All you need to do is to basically download the zip file and unzip, and then you can open the folder in any IDE that you have. I'm using VS Code, so that's what I'm using here, and that's what I have here. So we're gonna do npm install to install all the packages in the package.json file. If you don't know what these folders and files are, I will put a link to the video that I explain everything. This is basically our Webpack boilerplate, and we have been adding to it since like the first video, and so you can see like playlists in my channel. So go check everything out and then make sure you understand everything and then come back here. So once we do npm install, then to start our server, our dev server, we're gonna do npm start, and the next thing we're gonna do is to go to localhost 3000 and make sure everything works fine. Yes, so we have a home page and about page. Everything you see here, I've explained everything in my previous videos, so go check the channel and you'll find very good information about all like these page transitions, this cursor effect and all that in my channel. So as I mentioned, we're gonna work with Prismic for this video, and if you go to prismic.io, first thing we're gonna do is to go to this login page. If you have an account, you can just log in. If not, you can sign up either with your email or your GitHub account, but just like put your first, last name, email address and password, and that's about it. I have an account, so I'm just gonna log in right now. So once you sign up, you're gonna be taken into your dashboard, and then you don't see anything here right now. As I mentioned, I have my portfolio here and everything is there, but what we are gonna do is to click here, create a repository, and just name it. It's gonna be your endpoint, basically API that you will be using in your website. I'm just gonna do LNC tutorial, late night coder tutorial, and then it's just a tutorial, and just add like what your role is, not important. And then what we want to do is to select NodeJS, because that's the technology that we're gonna use. And for the purpose of this tutorial, obviously we are gonna use the free plan, but see what plan fits you the best. I don't think if you're like a freelancer or website developer at this point you need anything more than free. So just like create a repository, and once that's created, you will probably like get an email if it's your first time, and they will send you some like links to how to get started, which we'll take a look later. But once you click on this repo, it's gonna ask you what's the main language. I'm gonna choose English, United States, and then we have here our basically dashboard for this repo. If you look on the left side, you have the documents, custom types, and all your media library. So what these are, basically you're gonna define custom types, and then you will, for each custom type, you can define documents. If I have to like give you an example, a custom type can be like your homepage or a blog post, and then the document would be like a specific blog post or the content in that homepage. Now let's go to their website, the tutorials that they have. If you look at the email you got, or like just go to this link that I will also post in the description of this video, they have step-by-step instructions to how you connect your website to their API. So the first thing, we're just gonna also follow this since we already have a project. We're gonna start with integrate with existing project. So we have already created our new repository. It's there, and then next thing we need to do is to install the Prismic packages. So I'm gonna copy this, and here I'm gonna open another terminal here, and under our project folder I'm gonna copy that and install the package there. So we're gonna mainly be working on this app.js file. That's where our backend code is, and we will add everything to this file following the steps here in their website. So we have installed Prismic related packages. If we go to package.json file, you should see Prismic client and also Prismic DOM here. So we're good there. Next thing, we need to require those things in our app.js file, and for that let's go to app.js. I already copied the things that we needed here. I'm just gonna change this to constant. So we have our Prismic and Prismic DOM here, and I'll show you what each of these is. The next thing we need to do is to basically go to just that website again and follow the steps. We're gonna define our endpoint, and that is what we had created. Remember I told you like that LNC tutorial will be what we will need, but since we are going to add more like later on, we have when we are connecting to the API, we need to access some like tokens, and like we need those tokens are private, and we need to save them in a private manner. Don't share them with anyone. And to do that, we are gonna create a new .env file, and in there I am going to have two environment variables. One is gonna be my token, and this one you don't have to necessarily put it in your env file, but I put it there. It's the endpoint. So our endpoint, for now, this is not gonna be our endpoint. Obviously we're gonna get everything, but let's keep that there. And the next thing we're gonna do is to go back where we were here. We're gonna add a link resolver here. I'll explain what everything is as we dig deeper into this code. And we need to also add a middleware. We already have a middleware in our app.js where we are using the device detection, basically device type detection code. If you don't know what this is, I have explained it in another video, and I'll put a link to that as well. You can go check it out. But let's copy that, and I wanna make a little bit of change to that. And basically, since I already have the middleware here, all I'm gonna do is to add these two parts. So we're gonna have a link local that we can access, and that's going to give us access to this function here. By the way, I don't like function. I want to do ES6 with arrows, and I need to fix some stuff here. Equal to that. Why did I put it there? I meant to put it here. Okay, So we're good now. Let's go back. We added the parts that we needed for this middleware to our code, and now the next step is to connect to our API, and for that again you can copy this section here, initialize the API, and that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna put it right up here. And the only change that I've made is to like change it to ES6, and I have my endpoint and access token. Basically, I'm gonna restore them in here in my .env file, and I'm accessing them here through this code. And keep in mind that we are gonna use access token. So for this step 7, that's what I have. Like I have my endpoint and also my access token. Now, how can we get these things? If you go back to your repository, down here in bottom left corner, you have settings. If you click on that, you'll be taken to your repository settings, and here in API and security, that's where you have everything you need. So this is your endpoint. You can copy this, obviously for you it will be whatever you named your repository, and you can just paste it here. I'm going to remove the endpoint that we added here because we're reading from the .m file. And then if I go back to my repository, if you scroll down here, generate an access token, that's where we need to, like, we put an application name. Let's do tutorial 1 here, and then all you need to do is to add this application. You're gonna get a few things: client ID, a secret. I don't think at this point we need these. All we need is the access token, and I'm gonna copy it here and paste it here. Obviously you're not supposed to share this with anyone. I will be revoking it after I finish this video, so that I'm the only one who has access to it. I'm gonna save this .m file, and in my app.js you can see I have the access token here and the endpoint here. So we are initializing and connecting our website to the Prismic API, our repository basically. Let's go back to their instructions. So we're good there. Next thing we need to do is to basically connect our endpoints and read the data from our endpoints. Before we do that, let's go back to our website actually first. So what we're gonna do for the home page, I'm gonna add this welcome home text to that repository, and also maybe this image, and I'm gonna read everything from the CMS to our website instead of like if we go to our home pog file, you can see everything is hard-coded here. So what I'm gonna do is to go back to custom types here. As you remember, that's where we define like our types, like it's a blog post, it's just the home content or anything. You have two options here: repeatable type and single type. As you can see, if you have something that's being repeated like blog posts or authors or products, this is the type that you want to use. But like if I'm just looking at the content in my homepage, it's just one single content, you will be using the single type as they also explain here. So I'm gonna name this home content. Just for simplicity, let's do home. I'm going to create new type. Now, As I said, for this home, I'm gonna have a like welcome text and an image here. So what I'm gonna do, this here is where you define your fields, let's say. And like I said, we have like a text field and then an image. For text, normally I use key text here. We'll look at the other text types later. You can like drag and drop the key text here, and then for field name, let's do welcome text here. Keep in mind this API ID is important. That's what we're gonna target in our app.js file and to get the data. That's good. Now the next thing was image. Let's see where image is. If I can find it, there it is. I'm just gonna drag it and it's gonna be here. I'm gonna do image here, and doesn't matter capital or like small. I just want to add capitalized for my field name, and our API is gonna be the always is gonna be lowercase, and then hit OK, and we're good here. So that's all we want for our home page. Let's save this, and then as I mentioned, they're here in custom types. We define the types, and in documents we add our actual content. So if you say create new, since you just have one type right now, it's gonna assume that you want to create the home type. If you had like a lot of types, it would ask you which one you want to create and like add content to. So for welcome text, I'm gonna do welcome home everyone, and then for image, we can use we obviously don't want to use these default images. We're gonna upload our image here, and once it's uploaded, we're gonna add it. So we have it. It's always good to add like an alt text here for your image. It will help obviously with your SEO, but again, it's always good to have that. Subscribe image. I mean, that's probably not the best text for SEO, but you can decide what to put there. Then once you do that, you basically save it, and then you have to publish it. As long as it's green, it's good to go. You can read it in your document. So let's go back to their instructions here in here, and now you are going to read a single type in your app.js file, and this query here is what we need. So you can copy this, but I'm gonna actually do a little different version of that. So here in our home, it's almost the same. I'm just like changing everything to ES6 coding, and I'm just gonna copy it here. So basically you're gonna call that init API so that your connection is initialized. It's almost the same. I'm just changing it to ES6, and then using this Prismic predicates.add, you will access your document, your custom type. This document type is what you just created, and that was home. If we go back to custom type, you have home. That's the API ID, home here. And let's see, before we like add anything here, let's see what we get from the response here. So I have some written code here. So let's see what we get in this response. I'm gonna close this guy here, and Let's make sure we have everything right. So in this our link resolver, we need to fix one thing. Since we don't have like a page, we have a home page, and also we're gonna have an about page here. And what we need to do here is to go to for the home page, we're gonna return that, and then for about, we're gonna return basically about here. Okay, I think this is good right now. If we are like, if the document.type is neither of these, we're just gonna return home as well. So let's go, let's save this and go back. I think everything is fine. We'll find out. Go back here and then refresh the home page. Okay, we don't get any errors, but we do see our console.log here. So in Prismic, every time you are looking for your data, you actually need to look for a data field. If I scroll here, you can see this data here. That's what you need to access to. If we look at this like object here, we have a results like key value per, and then in the results we need to the first, it's an array, we're gonna need the first element of that array, and then that first element is gonna be another object, and we need the data key value per from that. And that's what I have here. I'm gonna do response dot results, the first element in there, and then dot data. Let's see what we get there. If I go back and refresh, here, refresh it, everything looks good, and then we here have our data. And what we see here is our welcome text and our image, which is exactly what we had here. Our welcome text, welcome home everyone, and our image, which gives us a URL and also our alt text there. So we need to send this data to our HTML, or in this case our POG file, and then replace the static text with that. To do that, it's just like Node Express common stuff. You can define your variable. I'm just gonna call it home, and then that's going to be this response results data. I'm gonna comment this out for now. And then what that means is that we will have access to this home variable in our home.pog, which is gonna be exactly this object here. So if we go to home.pog there, what we see is that we can change this guy here, equals to home dot welcome text. So now we have we got rid of the static text, and now we're reading from Prismic. So if I go there, we need to see welcome home everyone, and there we go. So now we are reading from our Prismic repository, and we can do the same for image here. The source is gonna be home.image.url. So image.url. Oops, that was alt text. So that's gonna be home.image.alt, and our source is gonna be home.image.url. So that is what we should also see. Excellent. So it's there. This time it is actually reading it from CMS, from Prismic. So everything looks good for the home file now. We're gonna take a look at the about page. So in addition to what you see in the starter code, I have added a little bit more of code to the about page pog file here. So what I've added is a portfolio section, let's say, and I have two portfolios there. Here I have like portfolio 1 with a text with an image, portfolio 2 with a text and image. As you can see, this is kind of something that is repeated in our website. So imagine like a blog post, or like, again, this portfolio also is a good example. You will have many of these, and it would be really easy to actually just implement everything, so that you only need to make changes, even like add or delete in the CMS file, instead of having to code everything like I have done here, directly in your POG file. So for that, let's go back to Prismic, and I'm gonna create another type. This is still gonna be a single type, and I'm gonna call it about. That's my about page. This time, as I mentioned, our portfolio, this thing is being repeated. Like for each portfolio, we have the same title, description, and image. So that's exactly what we're gonna do here. For repeatable items, you can use this group. Group is a repeatable group of fields, as they say, so that's exactly what you want. And this is like your portfolio or about, or blog post, anything. And then what we have in each portfolio field is a title. I'm gonna use for now, let's use a key text here, and I'm gonna call it title. Okay, and we have a description. For description, I'm gonna introduce you to a new type here called rich text. It's basically you can like make bold or italics, or like have different types there of text. So we'll see how that works. Also, I'm gonna add it the field name is gonna be description. And if we have like any link in there, I wanted to basically open a new tab for that. Okay, here. And then of course we have an image. By the way, the naming of these fields, it's okay as long as you are using unique names inside the same type. So like for example, here I'm again gonna call this image. Remember, in homepage we also had image, but it's okay because we're gonna access a different type, and in that type we have image here. So this is image under the about type, not the home type. So it's okay to have the same name, but you can have like image for two different fields here. So just keep that in mind. I guess we're done. We're gonna save it, and then we're gonna go back. If we go to our documents, since this home was just one single type, if I click create new here, it knows that I already have one home, and that was a single type. I can't create another home. So the next option would be my about. So it's gonna open an about because this is also a single type, and we are already done with home. So about is gonna open up. If you have multiple types, it's gonna ask you which one, but since the only option is about right now, it will open about for you. So for this one, I'm gonna do portfolio 1. I have a description. This is my portfolio one, and then here is the link. So as I mentioned, this is gonna be a rich text, so you can actually have like link there, and that's how you do it. You like select the text, click on that link. Here it's gonna ask you what is it to link into. It's gonna be to a new website, and let's say I have I'm copying a link from my other window real quick. Hold on. And here we go. I'll just do like actually type it. Okay, and we wanted to open a new window, a new tab, of course, and that's it. Now, since we have this as a group of repeatable items, we do see the new element in portfolio here. Before that, let's quickly add an image for that. Portfolio one image, and you should also add the alt text here. Portfolio one, just for the simplicity, I add that. If you click on add a new element, you're gonna see the same exact box basically with the same exact content, and that's what we wanted. Now we can have portfolio 2, and this is my best job ever, and you can like, I don't know, like make it bold or whatever. So yeah, the rich text, you can do all those things like bold, add link, even like include image there, and like list items, anything. I'm gonna save it here. Those are the two that I have, 2 portfolio items, and publish it. It's published now. And we're gonna still use the same predicate add for about page, because we're still targeting a single type. This time it's gonna be about. So let's see what that's gonna look like. Since I have the code ready here, I'm gonna just quickly copy it, and same concept up here. Let's see, about page. Yeah, so I'm calling the init API, then I am getting the about document type, and again I can console.log this response here to see how this looks this time. If I go back to my about page, enter, I go back here, I have now this again object here, results 0 is again what I need, and data, so everything is the same. So let's see, what do we see in the data now. Let's see, I'm saving that. I just want to make sure, like, trying to console.log every step is really good. When you're working with Prismic, you know what to target to get exactly what you want, because as you can see, these like can get really ugly, like there are multiple levels. Just start with kind of like console.log in every step. And the next thing would be portfolio. As you can see, in each portfolio, I have like 2 portfolio. It's an array, and I have 2 elements, and that's what I need. So portfolio is gonna give me my 2 portfolios, and here they are, the first one and the second one. Alrighty, let's make sure, did I add an image for the second one? So here you can see, like, the second one, this image is empty, so I think I forgot to add image for that. If I go back there, yep, I did forget. So here I'm gonna add like another image, and that should be good. Save, publish. And so this is good, like when you console.log things, you can see you might be missing some stuff. If I go back and I redid it, there we go. Now we have the image. I don't have an alt text, but that's okay for now. All right, the next thing we need to do, so I'm accessing this portfolio items through the response, results, data, and portfolio, similar to what we did for homepage. I can access that in my about file. And to save some time, I am actually just going to copy what the final code should look like, and I explain it real quick here. So in here, there we go. I just commented out what we had before. In Pog file, you can go through a loop using each keyword. So you're saying in each portfolio, for each portfolio, in my portfolio items, which I have here, exactly this array, I need to access my portfolio title for my, let me just get rid of this for now, because that's something else I will explain a little later. I have my portfolio title, which should be actually title here, because that's what we have, title. Then I'll look at description in a minute, but our image is gonna be also just image here, and I have also image here. Now for description, as we said, we assigned it to be a rich text. To read that, we're gonna need this prismic dom.richtext.asHTML, and that's basically gonna convert it to HTML and display it there with all the like bold things, link connections, everything is gonna be there. So if I save this, hopefully if I go here, let's see if I do about, there we go. So I have my portfolio with the link. This one is actually bold. You might not see it, but that's how it is. And this link should also work, and it does basically take us to the other page. So that should be good, and that's how you define your repeatable items using a group, and then you can actually keep adding to this later without needing to make any changes in your code, because you already have this incorporated in your code and everything looks fine. Next thing we need to look at, as I mentioned, we also have a repeatable custom type here, and what we can use that for is actually, here we have like examples of blog posts, authors, products, but also we can use it for our portfolio, because that's also like a repeatable type that we have, like portfolio 1, 2, 3, and so on. And let's say in our about page, we are just showing just a short description and like the image, but like we want people to be able to like click on it, and they will go to a like a link that's specific to portfolio 1, for example, like /portfolio1 up here, and then they will see more detail about that thing, about that project, and same for the other portfolio. So for that, there are multiple ways you can do it, but just for the purpose of showing this repeatable type to you, I'm gonna use that. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, but I will use the repeatable type for now for you guys, just to see how this works. So I'm gonna define it as a portfolio item, let's say, and then create this. Once that's created, let's see, it is going to be similar to the group thing that we had, but this time we don't need the group because this is just one item. This is gonna be like portfolio one only, for example, and this is the type that we are setting right now. So since we want to have access to this as, like I said, like slash portfolio one, it's a good practice to define a UID first, and just we can call it UID for now. We'll see how we can target this, and keep in mind this is always gonna be UID, so the API ID never changes. Okay, and then our portfolio is gonna have I believe we still need the title. This time instead of key text, I'll use title just so you see how different types there work. And we're gonna say okay, it's fine, we can have any type of h1 or any tag there. By the way, as you saw, if you click on this gear icon, you can make edits. If you have a typo or you want to fix anything, you can do that. Then we still need our image. I'm gonna call it again image. Again, since this is another type, we are under portfolio item, it's okay to give the same name as the other types. And last but not least, we want to have our like full description with like more links or images or videos, anything. So I again define this as description. We allow everything, and that should be it. I'm gonna save it. And then if we go back to our documents, what I'm gonna do here, I am going to use that repeatable document portfolio item, and this one is gonna be like my first portfolio. So you have the option to do whatever name that you want for this UID. It can be like digits, numbers, or since it's like a portfolio, you want to have like maybe some like SEO friendly like endpoint for this. That's gonna be your endpoint there. Title is still gonna be like portfolio one, and then for this, as you notice, I'm like using heading one. You can change that here. Image, we're gonna select one of those same images. Alt text portfolio one image, and then we can actually add like a description. This can be like different from obviously it's gonna be more text and more maybe images. You can add images here or like list items in here. So I'm just gonna leave it like that simple for this tutorial, but keep in mind the important part is this UID, and we'll get back to that in a little bit. I can save and publish it, and the repeatable type comes into play when I want to create a new one. Again, I will be taken there. Now keep in mind, since these two were single types and we already have a single document of them, then Prismic is gonna know that a new document that we are going to create, it has to be from the portfolio item type, because that's the only repeatable item and all the other items are already taken by a document. So if again we had other document types, other types, we would be given an option to pick from them once I hit create new. But right now we only have the profile item option. The choice is just that. And for this one, obviously we can we are gonna do portfolio 2. We can do port 2 here, and for the title, portfolio 2. Now I have my image here, and let's just have a simple description here. Again, this is just for the purpose of this video. You will obviously include more, as this is supposed to be like the detail page for that project that you worked on. And we can save and publish this one as well. And now, we can take a look at our documents here. I have portfolio 1 and 2 added, and then again you have more items, you have more portfolio items. You can keep adding that. And if we go back to our file code here, I have added some code to actually display every single portfolio page. So like I have a CSS file, I have a new portfolio pog file, and I will explain what each of these is. We're gonna focus on obviously pog file because the styling file, it's not the focus of this course. So let's go back to our I said this course, I meant obviously this tutorial. If we go back to app.js file, what we're gonna do here, if we look at the Prismic API and the documentation there, we're gonna define we have defined IDs for each portfolio, and we're gonna query by that UID. And to do that, we need to define a new endpoint here. And for that, I already have the code. I'll copy it just so that we save some time. It's gonna be under, as I mentioned, about page. We're gonna have about / something else, like the port 1 and port 2, which are the UIDs that we have defined here. Let's see here. So this is how you query by UID. You're gonna look at your portfolio item type, which is the type that we have defined here, portfolio item. Specifically, it needs to be this guy here, _item, because that's the API ID, and that's what we have here. And then we are going to look for this UID here, and that's how you get in your Node.js Express routing. You will do like :UID, and then request params.uid is gonna be giving you exactly that endpoint here. And then let's say we have our response here. We're gonna see what we have in our response. And the thing is that when we are in our about page, I want to be able to click on this portfolio 1, and then that will take me to the detail for that. And similarly for portfolio 2. I want to click on it and it will take me to that detail page. So we need to make a little bit of change in our about.pog file, and to do that I am going to that change is gonna be, we're gonna make this an A tag so that we can click on the title, and the href for that. It's a good point, is a good time here to talk about the this link resolver here that we created. We haven't used it here, so we are accessing that through our middleware here also. So we are storing that as this link variable, and we are defining if the type is home, we want to go to like slash, and if it's about, we want to go to about. And for this new portfolio thing, we are going to define a new router, and that is going to be our portfolio and about slash that UID. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. The type, I'm gonna define it portfolio. So when we go to that link here, the type is gonna portfolio. It's gonna look inside this if condition here, and we are also defining our UID. Now I haven't explained how to get this UID, because if we go back to our about page here, all we have is portfolio, title, and description. So we need to add a UID also to each item in our about page, so that when we click on that item, it knows which of these portfolio items to look at. Right now there is no way, because in our about page, in each portfolio, we don't have any UID. Now if you try to drag a UID here, it's not going to allow you to do that. So we need to come up with a new option, and it's easy. Since UID is going to be a text, we are going to just define it here as a key text. Okay, and save it. And don't forget, you will need to go to your documents in about. You need to add this here, and this needs to be exactly matching what we have defined in our repeatable type. So for first one I have port 1, second one is port 2, and that needs to be exactly matching what I have here. For portfolio 2 I had port 2, and for portfolio 1 I had port 1. Because we are trying to direct from this about page, but clicking on this portfolio, which is being read through this about type, and go to detail page, which is gonna go to this portfolio item type. So those UIDs need to be the same. So now I have the UID defined, so I can read that portfolio UID here, and when I click that, it's gonna link me to that page using here. It's gonna go to about slash the UID. And then here, if we look at our portfolio.pog, what I have here, I am reading that view in my here in this route, where I am I'm taking the user to the detail portfolio page. Let's console.log our response here and see how that looks. Right now, just forget what you're gonna see in the next page, but if I do portfolio 1, it's gonna go there, and then what I see there, my response has my data, and the data has my we actually have the UID actually right under that, and that was the UID that we went to port 1, because I clicked on portfolio 1. I'm gonna go back to just explain that. Here I have portfolio 1. If I click on this, as you can see down here at the bottom, it's gonna take me to port 1, and that is what we defined here in my about page. I have this port 1, and that's here again, port 1. So when I go through this route, it's gonna take me to that portfolio item, which is my port 1, and then in this portfolio I'm gonna show like my description and image URL, which is this time it's being read from the portfolio item. That's how it works. So if I go to portfolio 2, it is going to show my port 2 stuff, which is again this item, this repeatable item here. So exactly what we see here, we see it here too. So that's how you use Prismic to connect your basically content in Prismic to your website. I explained most of the things that you would need, but if there is anything else, of course, go to their website and you can see a lot of documentation there. It's all good. You can expand, obviously, the way that you want to use it. It has to fit your use case, so make sure, like how I defined here, different repeatable items or single use items. It all comes down to your own website, so make sure to keep that in mind. I guess that should explain everything. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and make sure also to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and also if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment box below and I will make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. I'm gonna post the final code of this tutorial on GitHub, and I put a link in the description as well. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you in another video soon.